This is a revision presentation on the balance of payments on the current account. The first thing to clear up is the terminology we use when talking about this topic. We often use the balance of payments as shorthand for the balance of payments on the current account. What the balance of payments actually means is just a net flow of money. You could have the balance of payments on your debit card, and that would be how much you put in terms of savings or earnings versus how much you take out in spendings. But when we use the term in macro, we're always using it as shorthand for the net flow of money through a particular thing, which is the current account. So the flows that make up the current account are four different kind of parts to it. One is the trading goods. So this is money made from exporting and importing goods. Trade and services, so money flowing for that reason. Net investment income, which is money made from capital that's owned abroad. So, for example, if a UK firm owns a factory in China, the income that comes back to the UK from the factory owned in China is counted under our net investment income. And then current transfers. This is where money moves around without anything else coming in return. So good examples would be international aid, or perhaps sending money to a different country for a relative, or when a migrant worker sends their wages home. Now you need to know that the current account is made up of those four things. However, these two at the bottom, in terms of thinking about multiple choice questions, things that influence the balance payments on the current account, you don't need to worry about these two aspects too much. The really important bits are these two at the top. They make up what we call the balance of trade, and so then together they comprise exports and imports, and so they make up the X minus M component of aggregate demand. It's that balance of trade that we're really going to focus on when we're answering multiple choice questions to do with the balance of payments on the current account. So I'm going to take you through three general categories of things that influence the balance of payments on the current account, and the first of those is to do with the rates of inflation. Let's say we had higher domestic inflation, so for example a higher rate of inflation within the UK. The effect on the balance of payments will be through this causal chain. Firstly, UK goods and services become less competitive. So compared to foreign countries, goods produced in the UK now cost more because we've had higher inflation. But now that they cost more, of course, the higher price, the demand for them falls, and so we'll get lower exports, and so that X minus M component becomes more negative. The balance of payments on the current account becomes more negative. When we talk about it becoming more negative, we often talk about it deteriorating. That means the same thing. At the same time, if the inflation was abroad instead, so let's say a major trading partner with the UK, like the Eurozone, started to have a really high rate of inflation, well, actually now it's going to be the opposite case. Those foreign goods, the goods produced in the Eurozone, will be the ones that have become less competitive, and that means UK goods and services are becoming more competitive. So now we're less likely to see people in the UK going to buy foreign goods because they've become more expensive, so imports will fall. And as the M component of X minus M gets lower, X minus M becomes more positive. Remember, it's X minus M, so if M gets smaller, X minus M becomes larger. And so the balance of payments becomes more positive, the balance of payments on the current account improves. So the rates of inflation matter. It's always the same idea that a country's rate of inflation affects how competitive it is, and then that has an impact on the balance of payments. Secondly, changes in national income. And this is something that candidates neglect quite a lot, and so it comes up in multiple choice all the time. So if we get higher UK national income, now for example this could be through just economic growth and a growth in GDP, could be through lower unemployment, it could be through lower income tax, but anything then that causes that higher UK national income. Well, now that people have more money, of course, they spend some of it, and some of it is spent on imports. You start to buy goods that are produced in foreign countries, and as imports increase, X minus M becomes more negative, the balance of payments deteriorates, X minus M becoming more negative. And again, if we think about this in terms of what's happening in foreign countries, where foreign countries see an increase in national income, their consumers will start to spend more. But we'd hope that some of that spending by foreign nationals, for example, if it's in the Eurozone, that some of that spending would be on UK goods and services. And so that starts to create UK exports. People in foreign countries are now going to buy goods and services that are produced in the UK. and so the balance of payments improves, exports increase, X minus M becomes more positive. So national income, through the effect it has on the country's tendency to import, will have an impact on the balance of payments as well. And again, you need to think about how that can happen within the UK or how it can happen with foreign countries. Finally, the exchange rate. Now, the best way to think about the effect of the exchange rate on the balance of payments is through the classic acronyms of SPICed and WIPODEC. So if we start with SPICed, when the pound becomes stronger, we also call this an appreciation of the pound, that will make imports cheaper because now those pounds within the UK can buy more foreign currency and buy more foreign goods. And exports become more expensive because it's now more expensive for foreign countries to buy the pounds that they need to buy UK goods and services. Imports are cheaper, so they go up. Exports are more expensive, so they go down. And so X minus M becomes more negative. The balance of payments deteriorates. Now, I think actually for the purpose of multiple choice, you can link these two really directly together. You don't want to be working through SPICed each time. You just need to know that an appreciation of the pound will lead to a deterioration on the balance of payments. A higher exchange rate will make X minus M more negative. Then we have our reversed acronym. So a weaker pound, so the pound becoming cheaper, will now make imports more expensive, make them dearer. The pounds that we now have in the UK, you need more pounds in order to buy up foreign currency to buy imports, so they become more expensive. But exports now become cheaper because the foreign nationals don't need so much of their kind of foreign country in order to buy up pounds in order to buy goods and services from the UK, so that makes exports cheaper. And again, the net effect here is, well, exports will go up because they're cheaper, imports will go down because they're more expensive, and so X minus M here becomes more positive and the balance of payments improves. Again, I think to do multiple choice quickly, you want to really quickly link the weaker pound or depreciation into an improvement in the balance of payments without having to work through WIPODEC each time. For those of you that want to know more about the language used around exchange rates and the effect of changes in the exchange rate, please see the other revision presentation specifically on exchange rates.